Now you ready?
Look at this. I got a magnifying
Are we
glass.
live? All right. I'd like to call to order the June 25th, 2025 Long Hill Township meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting, specifically the time, date, and public call and information were included in the meeting that was electronically sent to the Echo Sentinel, Morris Daily Record, and posted on the Township website. The agenda and public handouts can be viewed online at www.longhillnj.gov. A public comment period will be held in the order it is listed on the meeting agenda. Committeeman Lavender.
I am here.
Committeewoman Riker Elaine will not be joining us. Committeeman Verleza will not be joining us. Deputy Mayor Verserchia.
Present.
Mayor Dorsey.
Here. All right. So first order of business is ordinance 572-25, an introduction for an ordinance providing various improvements in and by the Township of Long Hill and appropriating $2,266,200 from various funds of the township. Randy, this is what, capital stuff?
This is capital improvement.
Okay. I have a motion to introduce the ordinance to pass the ordinance on the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
And the public hearing will be July 16th.
Committeeman Lavender.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Verserchia.
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey.
Yes. Which says on first reading. What does that matter?
Yeah. Yep,
Oh,
second reading.
oh, okay. Next, we have 570-25, a model ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank pursuant to New Jersey statute. We'll open this for a public hearing if anybody has any questions or comments. Is there anybody online?
If anybody online would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
All right, so I like a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance
So moved.
570-25?
Second.
Committeeman Lavender.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Verserchia.
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey.
Yes. All right, we have a resolution, 25-172.
Wait, do you want to do the presentation?
What presentation?
We'll do it done.
And Randy's got a present.
Oh, okay.
We could introduce the budget, and then open it for public hearing and do the presentation.
Okay. All right, so Resolution 25-172 is the 2025 budget to be read by title only at a public hearing, and 25-173 is adoption of the 2025 budget. So at this point, I'd like to open it up to the public for any questions or comments, limited to 3 minutes. Anybody online?
If anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. Don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay, so we do the presentation, you want to vote first? How do you want to do this?
Oh, I think presentation.
All right, then we'll do the presentation.
All right. Megan, can you put it up on the screen? Okay. I'll start it off, and I'm going to hand it off to Randy. And so, this is the work over the last couple of months. And, like we have the last couple of years, we're going to use the same format. Next slide, please. So very briefly, we'll talk about how the budget process works, the timeline, the considerations and guidelines. We have a financial report card based upon where we see ourselves at right now. Randy will go into the municipal revenue plan and compare 25 FY fiscal, I don't think I'm at Oracle here, 2025 to 2024. He'll also talk about the tax levy, what are the sources, the assessments, the tax rates, where your dollars are going from a easy to understand perspective, and then get into appropriations and spending. What are the budget allocations by category, how we're funding the departments and accounts, and he'll touch upon our 6-year capital plan. Next slide, please. Okay, so the budget process, nothing's changed this year. In the fall, from September to November, our departments work on their budgets. Starting in December, a preliminary budget is created. That process goes on for the next 3 months until February. Starting in March, April, and May, the Finance Committee starts having those conversations with Randy. This is where the numbers are inspected, they're moved around, we figure out where we want to be, and that brings us up into June, where we introduce the ordinance for the budget in our public presentation. I think, on first, we adopt this in July. Is that how that works?
No, well, we actually are on self-review, so we don't need, that was
Okay.
anticipation of needing state approval. We do not need state approval. They have a copy of our budget, and we'll get a copy of the adopted budget once you guys approve it.
Got it. Okay. And, as always, our budgeted revenue should not exceed the prior year actual revenues. And by New Jersey state statute, a municipality cannot spend more than what is budgeted for appropriations. Next page, please. Okay, so here is the financial report card. So if we take a look at 2024, we budgeted 17 million, but we collected 18.4 million, sorry. I think I'm at Oracle today. We spent 16.3 million, which is a surplus of 2.1 million. In terms of our reserves, this illustrates, what our balance has been for the last 3 years. We were up half a million in 2023. We went down a little bit by about $250,000 the next year in 2024. This year we go down a little bit more by 321,000. Now, we've carried a fairly substantial surplus the last several years because of the sewer sale and the fact that we're operating very close to or under budget. This is the reason for the surplus, to keep our tax rate within an acceptable limit. Our debt as a percentage of assessed value is phenomenal. It's down from 2024. Randy, this is a fantastic number. Can you explain why it is a fantastic number?
Yeah, the amount of debt that you're allowed is 3.5% of your average assessed values over 3 years. So over the last 3 years, you have this year 2 billion, last year 1.9 billion, 1.8 billion. So if you take the average of that and 3.5%, as spoken in percentages, we're at 0.083%.
Right.
Which is virtually nothing compared to our debt limit that we're allowed to have by state law.
Right. So, as far as the report card goes, I agree with the green on this. I could push back a little bit on financial reserves and say maybe a little bit yellow there. However, over the next few years, we should have some new ratables coming online that'll help us gain back some of that surplus as well. So,
Correct.
for the rest of the committee, we're in an extremely strong position. I think this is a really well-run financial plan. I'm going to hand it over to Randy, but thank him for all the work he does.
Thank you.
Thank you. So where do we get the revenues from? If you look at the percentages, the percentages don't vary much from year to year. One thing that I want to point out, which has been a stickler for me for many years. In 2025, our state aid is $1,370,000. That state aid has been the same for the past 15 years. However, last year, the Murphy administration gave, if you will, a little bone to all the municipalities. And for 2 years, that we had a little higher state aid. Now, this $1,370,000, I call this true state aid, okay? And I'm gonna tell everybody to go home tonight and take a look at your utility bill. In your utility bill, there's a comment that says on there, this portion of your utility bill goes to local municipalities for what's called gross receipts and, well, it used to be called gross receipts and franchise. I believe it's called gross energy receipts now. We do not get that because as the state aid grew, they took away energy receipts tax until you had none left. So all those energy receipt taxes that municipalities used to get are being collected by the state. So I would argue that there's money down at the state that they owe every municipality by collecting energy receipts. And many years ago, municipalities used to collect them themselves. The utility companies went to the BPU because you can imagine cutting 567 municipal checks at that time. Correct, at that time was much more work, if you will, for the utility companies than to send one check to the state. And then so the state agreed to do that. Then it started diminishing what the municipalities got over the years. So, I wish the state, if anything out of that, give us more state aid. We deserve it. We should get it. Help us offset the property taxes. People in New Jersey pay way too much in property taxes. I just noticed that I spelled levy wrong. I
Right.
apologize.
So the headwinds that you saw here was a reduction in state aid and a little bit of a reduction in grants as well.
Yeah, grants is that's also an ongoing thing throughout the year. So while we're low right now, we are working on a couple grants that will put us over those amounts if we're successful throughout the year. So that is grants are a constantly rotating number. So it just happens to be that last year we had $72,000 in the budget because of timing. This year we only have 26.
Right, that's a
But
timing thing.
It's a timing thing.
Yep. And then revenue other than taxes, are you going to kind of double click into that?
Yeah, can you? So the other taxes are everything that's there. These are what they consider local taxes, if you will. So we get money from licenses, fees, and permits, court fines, interest on delinquent taxes, interest on investments. We have 2 different cell tower rentals that we have. We collect money and for construction code fees. We do collect some money from the parking utility surplus to offset expenses that we have for employees. Cable franchise fees. Now, one of those things, and I don't know if people are doing this, but they are. Because our cable franchise fees went down. So as people move to different types of media, where you're not using cable anymore, you might be using something else, we'll get less franchise fees. The Great Swamp, we get money from the federal government. We don't, it's a portion of ticket sales, if you will. So we'll be getting that. We usually get that in July. We anticipated 130 last year. We ended up getting 123, so that's what we budgeted this year. Reserve for debt payment is some FEMA payments we received. Shared services is the various monies we get for shared services with Harding and the library. The sale of municipal assets is a portion of the sale of the sewer system and also other assets that we sell throughout the year. And the miscellaneous is just a small amount of other cash.
Okay, so what portion of that sale of municipal assets, if you know, is the sewer sale versus, this is where we're selling equipment and stuff like that?
Yeah, the majority of it's the sewer sale,
Yeah.
obviously. The other stuff, we haven't sold property or anything like that to make major impacts, but as we sell equipment and so forth, that those monies go into that category of sale of municipal assets.
And the other thing that I want to get clarification, and I think I know the answer to this, but construction code fees, That's a big hitter up here. That goes from 290 to 325, but that money stays within the construction office, right?
Correct. The construction code fees go to pay for the enforcement and permitting of the uniform construction code.
Right, and that's an important point to make. I know we've seen some things on social media where, some folks have this misguided understanding that we're actually making money on that. We're not. We're simply funding the operations.
Correct. And there are individual audits done every year on that, not only by myself as the finance officer doing a report that we have to file with the state. Our independent auditors also are required to do an independent audit with the construction code also to send to the state.
So what's in here that's good for 2025 that would be maybe not available to us in 2026?
Well, the reserve for debt payment is not going to be available in 2026. Okay, because that is the last of our FEMA reimbursements
Okay.
for police headquarters. Quite honestly, the other fees are going to be roughly the same unless we have large impact on interest on investments, because that's driven by obviously the interest rates and so forth. But other than that, these fees unfortunately stay pretty stagnant.
Got it. Okay, very good. Next.
Next. So where does your tax dollar go? So here's the breakdown. As expected, the local school district is the highest at 44.6%. The regional high school is at 17.02. So together, those are at 61.63. Municipality is at 24%, and county is at 11. The open space we combined with the county and municipal open space for 1.18, and the library is 1.55. Next. So who makes up the municipal taxes, and what percentages? So you have different categories of property classes: residential, commercial, vacant, business, and farm. The bulk of taxes are charged against residential. It's the makeup of the town. We have a very high residential ratio compared to the other property classes. We'd really like to obviously see commercial higher, so to try to alleviate the taxes to the residents. And over the next couple of years, the new ratables that Committeeman Lavender talked about will fall into the commercial area. So you're going to see I think you're going to see a little more balancing on those on that property class.
So question on that. So for some of this development that's being geared up, where does that fall? Does that fall into residential or commercial?
That'll fall under commercial because basically it'll fall under apartments, because it's anything above a 4-family. That's the cutoff. 4-family is still residential. 5-family or higher is considered commercial. So it's considered an apartment complex. So you could have a five apartments in a building considered an apartment complex, and you could have one with 150 apartments considered an apartment complex. There's no distinguishing size of apartment complexes. Above 5, that's an apartment complex.
And does assisted living qualify as commercial as well? I would imagine
Yes,
it would.
yes, it does.
Okay, thank you.
Megan? So the property tax assessments, each year we do an annual reassessment. Annual reassessments help tremendously in preventing tax appeals, because you're using a more accurate assessment on various properties. You could see the year-to-date change overall was a 4.43. How that breaks out: residential right in that ballpark, 4.4. Commercial did increase a little higher. Vacant land, usually is a little less than the actual. And we had a little larger increase in the farm assessment. Now, I want to emphasize, and you'll see this on a later slide, because your assessment increases doesn't necessarily relate to tax increase, okay? Taxes are based on the needs of what needs to be raised in taxes from all the entities, and then is brought into the assessments, and a tax rate is struck based on new assessments. Now, on average, the assessments went up 4.4%. If your average it went 2.2%, you won't see as much of a tax increase as somebody that went up 4.6%. So, but again, if there was no adjustment in taxes needed from all the entities, and theoretically everybody was at the average of 4.43%, you would have the same taxes as last year, even though your assessment increased. So a lot of people believe that an increased assessment is an automatic tax increase, and that's just not true.
Now, you have two columns there, 2025 allocation and 2024, and I noticed that they change. And as I look at these numbers, then the way I would interpret that is the increase in commercial relative to residential put slightly more weight on the commercial.
Yes.
And that trend will continue over the next 3 years, I would imagine.
I believe it will.
Yeah, okay.
Next. So, this is exactly what I was talking to you about, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything because, I've been doing this way too long, and I have too much respect for taxpayers. I can say we had a tax decrease. We went down. Our tax rate went down. It's simply not true. We did not have a tax decrease, okay? From 2020 to 2025, the tax rate in 2020 was 0.597. In 2025, it's 0.529. Doesn't mean the taxes went down. As you can see with the bottom number, this is an average increase based on average residential home to average residential home. And you can see we've had increases, as little as $31 and as high as $65 for the year. So if in the budget your amount to be raised by taxation is higher than last year, I'm sorry, I don't care how you try to spin it, that's a tax increase. Only when it's lower is it a tax decrease. So even though the tax rate is lower, it went down, it's due to the 4.4, what was it, 4.4%, 4.43% increase in assessed values.
So,
Can I just interject one thing? What's remarkable about that bottom line, so you see the average municipal tax increase. So it's 197,145, and you work your way to the left. Probably comes out to an average over those 5 years of 175. If you went back another 10 years, it's going to be about 175 over that 15, 16-year period. The reason I highlight that is on the previous slide, you saw that the portion of the tax levy that comes from commercial ratables is 10 point, whatever it was, just below 11%. To put that in perspective relative to surrounding towns, most towns around us, the Chathams, Watchung is even much higher, Warren, they're about 25% from commercial. Berkeley Heights, I think, is 30%. For this committee and past committees to average 1.75% when such a small portion of the property tax bill comes from ratables is really commendable. And I know that sounds a little bit self, but that goes back for 16 years. To have accomplished that under those circumstances, and to Scott's point and to Randy's point, when we project, and we're going to do a more granular research project into this, but when we look at the commercial development that's coming in whether it's the residential or multifamily buildings, and what has been discussed in the past, perhaps an assisted living, that will definitely help the portion that's coming from residents, and perhaps maybe even reduce, as opposed to even 1.75%. It's a little bit convoluted, and as I think in a slide even before that, about 24% of the property tax bill comes is decided by this committee. You know, for whatever reason, the average person, and I understand that they're busy, they're not going to focus on this. They don't recognize that 62% is for the schools, 11% or so is for the county, and then you have the library and the open space between local and county as well. And that's held relatively constant over those 16 years, the 24%, which is what this elected body decides on. Anyway, sorry, I went off on a little tangent there.
That's okay.
But I think it's important to understand that nuance.
Okay, thank you. Couple more slides. So the budget allocations by category, we overall from budget to budget, we had a 4% increase in expenses. You know, so a lot of those are driven by controls outside of our control. The employer pension cost, reserve fund collected taxes, solid waste disposal. You know, one thing I want to I should mention, solid waste disposal. We're on our last year of a contract that we've exhausted our extensions. We're genuinely concerned about solid waste. We've heard some nightmares with people that have been going out to bid about the large increases they've gotten. So, you know, we're gonna keep that in mind as we go out to bid and try to do what we can. Insurances is another thing. The state is looking at another double-digit increase in health insurance. So, you know, we'll deal with 2025 right now. I'm working on a 5-year forecast plan to go forward, and we'll see how that works out.
So a couple questions on this, you know, and I'm looking at the big movers on this. So the fund ordinances, what are those?
That's to pay down our debt. So basically, we have two portions that are not fully funded by cash. Those are the purchases of the 3 fire trucks that we
Right.
did. I guess we finally finished them last year, and the remediation of police headquarters. While you know some people are saying we were going to get 100% from FEMA, we did not. So we need to raise. We're going to need to raise some money from the taxpayers to pay the rest of that.
Got it. And in the salary and wages, I would imagine that some portion of that is due to us right-sizing salaries of employees.
That's all the total salaries and wages for the whole town. So you got contracts involved in there. You know, you have the administrative staff, the increase in the police staffing that we followed through the Falzarano report. So all that's included in there.
And other than that, materials and services, you're obviously dealing with year-to-year inflation as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Megan? So this breaks it down by the various categories. Administration encompasses all of the municipal building except parks and community service. Library we always keep at by itself, but it includes all the statutory costs of pension, Social Security, and all that. So that's why that number is larger, the largest one. Public safety obviously includes police, EMS, fire prevention, fire hydrant services, and the capital deferred charges and reserve deferred charges is what I was just talking about paying down ordinances that are not fully funded. The reserve is the reserve for uncollected taxes, which is a 1.285 hit, and capital improvements that we will talk about shortly. Public Works obviously speaks for itself. That's all of what Al's guys do, buildings and grounds, solid waste collection, and the Public Works roads and guys. Utilities and bulk purchases, that's right now, not that bad of an increase from last year to this year. I don't expect it to go down though next year, so.
Right.
Megan?
It won't go down.
I don't think it will. So here's our capital plan. So, we have the 2025 funding plan. We're on basically a 6-year funding plan. The future year fundings are what is there. So this year, we're talking about a $2.8 million capital program. A lot of this is facilities, road improvements, and in the future, we'll be looking at the building improvements in the future does incorporate new police headquarters.
What's in recreation facilities?
Recreation facilities is a couple things. Now, this is not all cash out from us. This
Right.
includes grants.
Right.
So that is the Central
Court?
Park Trail
Yeah, okay.
construction. That is, we have to put some more money in our capital budget for the repairs to the tennis court. What else is there? Tennis court, that's about what's there. Basketball court is included with the tennis court, thank you. So, we're working on, what you'll be passing tonight is work to be done on the basketball court and engineering work, to see what the issues are underneath the tennis courts.
So that-
We want to make sure
Yeah.
we fix the water issues underneath the tennis courts, because I don't want to have to explain to you guys in 3 years why there's cracks in the tennis court and we just spent $500,000 to mill and pave it without taking care of the water issues.
Right.
So we need proper drainage.
So that 2.8, that's the funding plan. That doesn't necessarily say that there's money in the bank behind that, because you're going to.
Correct.
You're going to funnel in grants.
Yep.
And whatever money you can get.
Yep.
Got
There's actually 2 large grants incorporated in this
Got it.
year's fund.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That photograph is the state-winning photograph of Mr. Zindel, is it not? I think so. The one you have in your book.
Yeah.
All right, so now we need a motion to approve resolutions 25-172 and 173.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second,
Committeeman Lavender,
yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia.
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey.
Yes. All right, next we have, what's this, consent agenda resolution?
No,
Oh,
we have the
What?
fair share.
yeah, but that's, okay. That's 25-174. It's endorsing an ordinance endorsing the fourth round housing element fair share plan adopted by the planning board last night on June 24th. Jack, you can have the floor for a second.
Sure. We're now in the 4th round of Mount Laurel. The DCA fixed our obligation at 102 units. At last night's meeting, the planning board adopted a housing element and fair share plan that proposes to meet that obligation through the following mechanisms. Excuse me. One is the property of 44 Plainfield Road, which has already received approval from the Board of Adjustment to build 22 total units, of which 3 will be affordable. The next major component of the 4th round is the car wash site, 1106 to 1122 Valley Road. The proposal is to build 167 total units there, of which 33 will be affordable, which is a 20% set aside. In addition, we'll also get 16 bonus credits for that, so that will cover 49 units of our total of 102. The third component is the, excuse me, the proposed assisted living facility over by Walgreens, I'm sorry. I do that all the time. Which will have 10 set-aside units. So we'll get 10. That brings us to 61 toward the 102. Then we have Lounsbury, which, as I say, is the gift that keeps on giving. It's now given us a number of credits for 4 rounds, all 4 rounds. We're getting a total of 23 credits in round 4. And the last is we have a carryover from the Warren Avenue site, which was part of round 3. That brings us to the total of 113, actually. So we'll exceed our number. Procedurally, this was adopted by the planning board last night. The township committee now needs to endorse the housing element fair share plan as adopted by the planning board. If you do that, then I will file this with the program, as they call it now, the successor to COA, tomorrow. And then we'll go from there.
I make a motion to endorse it.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Committeeman Lavender,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia.
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey.
Yes. All right, now we have consent agenda resolutions, 25, 175 to 181. Anything, there's no conflicts today, correct? All
I
right.
don't see any, but Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to remove 25-178.
Okay,
178.
that's, okay.
Yeah, yes. I know.
Oh.
I'm sorry, which one?
178,
Yeah,
the
that's what I
hire
thought
of
you
a new
said,
DPW worker.
Got it.
So that's being removed.
That's being removed.
All right, anything else that needs to be discussed in here? No. All right.
I make a motion to pass the consent agenda resolutions with the exception of 25-178, which will be removed.
Second.
Committeeman Lavender.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia.
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey.
Yes. All right. Let's go to the committee reports. Guy, we'll start with you today.
Sure, just one thing about the first aid squad. They commenced their annual fund drive. You probably see it on the,
Yes,
uh,
okay.
on the board outside the first aid squad. Reminder, and I know I say this quite often, but it's worth repeating for what a wonderful job that group does. They are 100% volunteer, and I just had a conversation with somebody in work today about towns, in a town he lives in. When I mentioned the first aid squad, he was shocked that our first aid squad remains a 100% volunteer group. That's and they are averaging, I don't know how this happens, but roughly between 60 and 70 calls per month, right on pace for that 750 number that they typically come in at. So please, if you are in a position to do so, donate to these men and women, and we've got a lot of younger folks that are coming along. They do an unbelievable job, and they can use your help. Once a year they come out and they raise an annual fee. I was going to say almost never, but it really is never come to this committee looking for anything. We almost have to strong arm them into taking anything. So please, if you are able, donate to that annual fund drive. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Scott, you got anything?
Nothing here.
All right. We'll start with the library update. Which one, do you have slides for both? Which one's easier to pull up? Whatever one you pull up first, we'll start with. All right, library update. Library's open 7 days a week, basically till this weekend. They'll be closed Sunday in July and August. They had a foam party last Saturday to celebrate the start of summer and the reading challenge. All ages can read books and earn prizes, so even adults can join in this fun. With the party and the heat wave, the library has been busy. We love it. Slide 4. Here we go. They're hosting in conjunction with the Long Hill Moms Club, a screening of the movie Chasing Childhood, which explores parenting in the digital age, building on many of the themes explored in the bestseller book, The Anxious Generation. That's on June 30th. They have story time every day of the week. It's in a free summer science lab on Thursdays at 4, plus lots of other programs for kids, including magic, live animals, and dinos. Look forward to story time at Sterling Lake. I believe this is new. And a library card registration table at Cantor Park during the wonderful summer concert series. Free movies throughout July. We're going with an 007 theme in honor of the 7th month of the year. So there's free movies. I don't know what date it is, but it's July. Check the library website. And finally, the adult programs are continuing, including author, history, and art talks, and some are in person and some are on Zoom. So check your postal listings. Look like they're wreck. Well, one I could tell you about rec tomorrow night is to kick off the summer concert series, probably the most popular one we have. Parrot Beach will be back. I believe at 7 o'clock at the lake. It's on there, okay. Summer rec camp started this week. Campers had fun all around. The theme of this week was Gone Fishing. New this year, they're working with the Young Rembrandts to bring an elementary drawing class to the town this summer. The program is meant for kids aged 6 to 12. It'll be held on Tuesdays and Thursdays from July 8th to July 31st at the old schoolhouse. The program is $170. Registration's on Community Pass, and class size is limited, so please register early. Don't forget the Dog Days of Summer concert, Thursday nights this summer. You can dance your way through summer and have some ice cream too. The Scream Chuck will be attending all the concerts this year. So live music and ice cream, what can be better? The first concert scheduled for tomorrow night at Sterling Lake. It's Jimmy Buffett Tribute Band. It's called Parrot Beach. And as I said, it's usually probably one of the most popular ones we've had. And they come back every year. So thank you, Parrot Beach. Family Fun Night at Cantor Park. It's on National Night Out, August 5th from 6 to 9 p.m. Come see all your emergency services groups and enjoy a free night of entertainment, and it's fun for everybody. And as usual, the public service announcement, they're still picking up a lot of water bottles on the fields. And please, just clean up your stuff. There's more garbage. You trip over the garbage cans. There's so many of them around the park. So it doesn't take that much effort, guys. And if you're looking to get involved, you can join the Rec Advisory Committee. Obviously, call or email for more information. You can check out the website. I believe that's all I have, Madam Clerk. And now we go to the Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a police report for the month of May. They responded to 2,858 calls for service, making a total year-to-date 12,567. They had 9 motor vehicle accidents with no injuries. During the month of May, they made 246 motor vehicle stops and issued 104 summonses. And out of those, 4 stops led to arrests. We had multiple training going on as we do every single month. One was some highlights for the month that the officers participated in. They were involved with the library's bike parade. They gave a bike safety talk on May 30th. They also participated in Field Day at Central Middle School on May 30th also. So they were out, the kids had a great time with the officers, and that's what we like to see. Officer in charge, Chiambella, is out of the state, no, out of town right now, and she'll be back to work tomorrow.
Thank you. All right, so we have discussion items. Jack, I'll just turn over to you briefly. It's about the sidewalks. I think we mentioned it at the last meeting or a couple meetings ago. And I believe this was talking about who's responsible for the maintenance and care of the sidewalks in town and shoveling and things of that matter.
Did you wanna, I know this was Committeeman Valeza's concerns. Did we could certainly talk about it. But I know he was very concerned about this, so I don't know if you want to hold off on it or have the discussion, and you'll probably have to have it again.
I don't know, where you guys want to go or not. When's the next meeting?
July 16th.
July 16th, yeah.
Yeah, we can wait, I guess. I have no problem waiting. You guys, unless you want to talk about it, we can wait till Vic comes up. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's his deal. That's
All right, then we'll just wait till the next meeting, and if he's not here, then we'll do it regardless. So we'll add this to the agenda for the July, what date?
16th?
16th meeting. All right, so we'll go back to sidewalks then. All right, any old or new business? Seeing none. Announcements. We have Parrot Beach tomorrow, 7 o'clock at the lake. Anything else? Any blood drives?
Be in December.
All right. Don't forget to donate to the 12 Baskets Food Pantry. They need food all year, just not at the holidays. Rand, you got anything?
You could always give blood, by the way. You don't have to wait till December. So,
Fair enough.
so there's always a need for people with blood. So please keep that in mind. So,
All right.
The one in December is St. Vincent de
Right,
Paul.
yes.
right.
But absolutely, throughout the year, if you can, please donate.
All right, it's still bulk week this week. What zones haven't picked up? Zones 4 and 5. I think that's Thursday and Friday. If you have any bulk, now's your chance to put it out because they come back again this year. There's only one more this year, so if you have any bulk items, put them out if you're in zone 4 or 5, today and tomorrow. All right, open mic night. It's open 3 minutes to anybody, member of the public, that has anything they want to discuss.
Oh, no. Put that in.
I thought you turned that on.
I did.
Oh.
It looks dead.
That was-
Hold on, don't start.
That
your
wasn't even a
3
half
minutes.
hour.
we used them up yesterday. You know, while we're doing that, I just wanted to mention, I forgot to mention during my report, that you guys adopted a resolution for donation of materials to DPW. Frank Liberato is here in the
Thank you,
audience,
Frank.
so I wanted to thank him for the donation of those materials. Public Works will use them.
Just for background, Mr. Liberato sold, I believe you sold your yard, correct? Your property?
One of our properties.
One of his properties, they had some surplus equipment, and he donated to the DPW to use, and according to Director Gallo, obviously the stuff will be used and needed by our town, so it's something we don't need to buy. So thank you, Frank. How long do those batteries, this is the worst.
And while we're waiting for batteries, filling in empty time here. The All-Star Game is coming up early July, Major League Baseball.
Why don't you sit right there?
Can you use one of
Have a
those?
seat.
Am I permitted beyond this wall here? I don't want to
Just-
violate any.
No, you
Just
can-
this one time.
Yeah, you can use the microphone right down the table.
Just have a seat. Pull up a chair.
Make yourself at home.
Make
Don't
yourself
get
at
too
home.
comfortable.
We got it.
Oh.
I got it.
No, you're gonna get zapped.
Let him
Let him
sit,
sit.
let him sit.
You finally broke the plane after 3 years. Okay, you still got 3 minutes if you're sitting or standing.
Wait a minute now.
She didn't start yet. We'll tell
Don't
you.
get too
Hold on.
comfortable.
Let's see if this works.
Don't get too
crowd.
comfortable. All
There we
right,
go. Okay.
go ahead.
Charles of Renowitz Millington. I've got kind of one educational comment, and then the second one's just a question. The educational comment is for two of the members that aren't here, basically Mr. Vick and Aubrey, but one's for Scott too. Just to remind you, I see on the agenda we talk about eminent domain. Just so you're aware, Scott, our last eminent domain didn't turn out so well. It was the Curves property.
And I'm just pause. Why are you educating me? Because I wasn't on the committee the last
Yes,
time.
that's
Okay,
correct.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
You can
And-
educate me.
Yeah,
I was on the
okay,
committee.
you were here. So what happened was, we were gonna buy the Curves property, and we declared eminent domain, and we came to a settlement, and whether we go to court on the settlement, and we decided, we'll just take the settlement on the basis of some of the attorneys, and then the property owner sued us, and we paid another $1 million thereabouts for the property.
No, you're,
Go ahead,
that's not exactly accurate.
go
So
ahead.
originally, we had a valuation done, and I think it was 2.8 million. And then it fell through for various reasons. When it came back, it was 3.3 million. They wanted 5 million, which was based on a contingent purchase they had with the developer named Kraft. The problem they had there is we weren't going to give them what a developer was going to give them, and that deal fell through because of various reasons. Kraft didn't want to go through the variance process again. So long story short, I think it ended up selling for 4.3 million. 500,000 of it was a tax.
Something to do with property tax.
Yeah, it's a tax that we
Settlement
would
of
have
the tax
owed them.
appeals.
So we did pay about $500,000 through assessed, but what ended up happening is the county upped their commitment from 2.3 to 2.8. So our portion, which is typically 25%, ended up being more like 30 or 35%. But it wasn't settled by lawsuit, it was settled by agreement. Jack, you and I were there at the county.
That's right. Pepper Hamilton handled it for the township. And what happens in condemnation is you can file a declaration of taking, which gives you title to the property, and the only issue remaining is the amount of compensation. So that's what happened. It was filed and right before it was going to go before the condemnation commissioners, there was a proposed settlement that the township committee agreed to. But that's typical, that, you know.
And that was an important, Chuck, I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah.
That was an important purchase for
Yeah,
the town.
bottom line is, it ended up costing us more money than what we thought.
Yep, but that's.
In that
always-
moment.
That's, you know, what's money, you know?
But
What's
towns rarely
taxpayers'
pay
money?
The amount of their appraisal. Because what happens is the property owner goes out and hires their own appraiser, who's definitely gonna come in higher because he knows who he
Oh,
works
that's right, I
for.
forgot. Their appraisal was
Yeah.
about $1.5 million higher than our appraisal.
That's right. So what happens normally is there's some kind of compromise in the middle. between-
But understand something, had we
Yeah.
not purchased that property, almost certainly you'd have 300 units going
Yeah,
up.
I understand that. But the bottom line, Scott, is we ended up paying more money than we originally thought. That's the bottom line. That's the communication. Here's the question.
And my takeaway is, we need to be very careful.
Great. That's, I want to make sure you're aware of
got it.
that. Okay. My question. Several months ago, when we had some issues with the employment agreement with our public safety director, and we got the county involved, and then what duties were legal and weren't legal, I came before this committee and said, you know, this employment agreement, whoever created it, one person or several individuals, and I listed who the potential individuals were, I suggested that we hold those individual or individuals, multiple, accountable and responsible for the position and embarrassment that they put this township in with this employment agreement. So my question is, based upon my recommendation to you on this faulty employment agreement, did we hold the bodies responsible for that employment agreement accountable?
At this point, there's no agreement anymore. There was a resignation, and it doesn't exist anymore, so.
But it's causing us some problems, as well as you're aware, with the current tort of action claim. So my question for you is, was the person or persons that developed that employment agreement for the public safety director held responsible and accountable for faulty language?
And I will turn that over to Mr. Pigeon.
He might be one of the parties.
Actually, I'm not. No, we're dealing with it. It's an agreement that is no longer in effect. I don't know how to answer the question.
The question is, who created the document is causing us problems now in terms of a possible $2.5 million tort claim? So my question, when you say it's dead, that's the reason we're having a problem.
A tort claim's a notice, it's not a lawsuit.
I know.
Okay.
It's a
So it's really
potential.
nothing to talk about.
I think it was created by Mr. Peoples.
The contract was voted on by the township committee. It was voted on at a public meeting by the township committee.
So the township committee created it and approved it.
Wouldn't say the township committee may not have created it, but it was approved by a vote of the township committee, which you're fully aware of. I mean, it was approved, he was hired.
So who created it?
Mr. Peoples.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from
Thank
the
you, Chuck.
public? Mr. Liberato, I see you moving.
Do we give Frank equal time in the seat?
And he's,
I can't follow Chuck's act.
he was very calm, very good today.
He's very well behaved.
Yes.
Good evening, Frank Liberato, Heritage Road. So just a couple of quick items. Any update on a timeline for selection of a chief?
Randy, you want to give that?
Yeah, we started a process. The process, if I had to take an educated guess, and this is an educated guess, I would say towards the end of the third quarter.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Next item. So you were talking about solid waste, and you were saying that there might be potential significant increases when you go out to bid. I know none of our surrounding towns do collection. I know like Summit does, Kenilworth, some of the municipalities in Union County. Is there any shared services opportunities for collection, or have we explored if we had our own trucks and expanded DPW? Sorry, Al.
I think we actually looked into that a couple, before Randy was the administrator.
We've looked into
If
it
we
many
did it,
times.
we'd probably need 2 trucks in case one broke down.
Right.
And then we need extra employees to do it, so it might, probably at the end of the day, if they're buying 2 trucks, and say you had 3 or 4 employees, it could end up being more, plus you have the tipping fees on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I asked, because I've talked to a few municipalities similar to our size, it was just funny. I had even questioned them, I go, why do you guys still collect your own garbage? And they said when they had run the numbers with the staff that they need for, the amount of days that they do it, they have 1 truck and 1 backup, like you said, and the backup's usually a used truck. They said they were actually saving money, which I was, it was 2 different municipalities, so I was just curious if that's something we
By
looked into recently.
bidding it out, or
Or
by
no, actually
did it
keeping it
in-house?
in-house. They ran the
Okay.
numbers.
I will tell you one thing, because I've had it in-house in my career.
Mm-hmm.
They are not accounting for workers' comp cases.
No, I'm sure that's not.
I am
yeah,
sure they're not, because my worst
Well,
workers'
you're right.
comp cases have been
Garbage related.
garbage related.
Oh, yeah, somebody slips under a truck backs over.
It's
So
back
many-
injuries,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so many different issues you deal
So yes,
with.
that was not in the equation, was
Yeah.
in the conversation. Next item was, I saw the other day when I was going on Valley Road, I saw the senior van behind a tow truck again. And I know we had talked a couple years ago during one of the election seasons about maybe leasing the seniors a newer vehicle that was more reliable to take them out of town. And when I saw it behind a tow truck, it popped into my head, and I was just curious to see where you guys were at with that.
We applied to the county, well, actually, it's a federal program for the community development block grants. We were denied again this year, but it is part of our capital program this year.
All right, well, that's good. I mean, even leasing something, if you don't want, if it's not a
Yep.
matter of laying the cash outlay.
We're not giving up hope. We have another meeting tomorrow morning for another grant possibility. So we are actively looking for and I don't want to. It's not just the flat tire that they had other mechanical issues that Public Works had to work on. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a little older unit, so as they get older, the maintenance starts to kill you, and then
Sure.
it becomes a money pit. So
Yep.
believe me, I know. With my fleet, I understand. Last question was, with all the heat we had the past couple of days, I was wondering, do we have designated cooling centers in our town for seniors and people with issues? Like I was working in another town Monday and Tuesday, and actually, smaller town, but they had like a community center that was open all day with air conditioning and was staffed with somebody and do we have that to offer to
yeah, we actually use our library.
So the library is and they're open like all
We're
like,
open until 8 o'clock at night, I think.
9.
9?
okay.
I don't
that's
think
good
they're
to know.
out.
They kick you out at 8:30 though, but they
Okay.
wouldn't kick you out.
Yeah, I was curious. I didn't know if that was something where you put.
No, we
word out
work
to
with the
people.
library director on a cooling, and our community services director is aware of it, and she's in constant contact with seniors and everything.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Anybody else from the public? Anybody online?
Anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. Don't see anyone, Mayor.
I will entertain any and all motions.
I'll make a motion to close.
Adjourn is the word.
Yeah, that.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Stay cool. Yeah, Tom.
I didn't even have to go in
Oh,
there.
sorry.